Headlined by Maximum Games, a publishing company who focuses on putting out licensed and other family-friendly games for a physical release, Five Nights at Freddy's Core Collection and Help Wanted were physically released for consoles on January 12, 2021. These were basically just the original games, or Flat Mode in Help Wanted's case, put on these systems with little to no flair, which is a little unfortunate, but hey, it's all that they technically needed to be. But with Security Breach releasing the month before, it makes sense that Maximum Games would also publish a physical version of Security Breach, which of course they did. But alongside the standard release, a collector's edition was also produced for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and eventually, like a year later, Switch, which was originally announced on April 20th, 2022. 2 days later, on April 22nd, 2023, oh hey, a day before my birthday, the PlayStation versions were put up for pre-order. Included was the game with the steelbook, some random goodies, and of course, a plush and a figure from Youtooz, of two of the most popular characters. Welp, collectors, that'll be $150. And of course, this is the reason I'm covering this today. Hello and welcome to Prize Corner, the show where I share my depressing spending habits while giving my full opinions on Vanny. After waiting a painfully long 9 months for this to finally start shipping out, on December 6, 2022, this baby actually released. Just to put this in perspective, the Security Breach wave of Youtooz I reviewed last time came out on the 29th of April. To be fair, those did actually get to me in September, but still, that is just so annoying to have to wait that long for one figure, when I got the others in the set months ago. I won't just be reviewing the Youtooz products, but the rest of the Collector's Editions offerings as well, which I'll be ranking all of. How about we start with my least favorite inclusion and move up from there? Well, after I look at the packaging. This box is really beautiful. I have the PlayStation 5 version here, which is a console I don't own. But at the time, it wasn't clear if a regular Switch release was going to happen, so I just got the one for the most recent consoles at the time. Well, I did actually think about buying the Switch version for this video. I decided that it just wasn't worth it. The front cover and under that has the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzaplex logo, with signatures from the 4 main animatronics, which is super cute. It's like an in-universe item whose previous owner was a huge fan of Freddy's and is a genuinely cool idea. The back just shows a preview of what's in the package, as well as some other random game information. Come back real soon. Adorable. This box is perfectly themed with a starry night sky all over it, which fits great with the Security Breach logo and the signatures. I'm a huge fan. And this is just the outside. Opening it up. Moon. Yeah, there's a lot of daycare attendant theming, as you'll see going forward. Right on top is the steelbook and a cute little sleeve, which brings us to our first review. No, not the steelbook. Yeah, the stickers. On the sheet, you get 7 stickers, all but one being the cartoony heads of the characters. I particularly loved the Sleepy Moon one. Here's a fun fact about me. I'm autistic, and the look, feeling, and stickiness of stickers freak me out, so I don't get much out of these. I mean, stickers can just be a cool and easy way of getting art out there. I have a few on my bulletin board above my desk. But this sheet is just pure white, even with the production numbers at the bottom. Hanging this up would be an eyesore. And the art isn't even anything interesting. It's just pre-existing assets from the game. And sure, as stickers, I'm sure they're great, but I obviously won't be using them as that. So, what are they to me? An insert in the game case I'll probably never touch again after this video. 2 out of 10. I mean, they aren't bad. I just don't care. And as an autistic person, they actively make me very uncomfortable. So this one's personal. Diving deeper into the box, this little flap comes back and, excuse me. This little box covers the rest of the random items. Up next on my ranking is these Plushies Pins. I love pins. Youtooz has made some great FNaF ones, and I have a couple more random ones piling up on my bulletin board. They are always so fun to put up there. So this package containing some cute character pins is a great idea to add value. What do you mean they aren't character pins? What do you mean they're pins of in-game plushies? What do you mean the plushies are kind of ugly? The most embarrassing thing you've ever seen? Okay, so these aren't the worst thing ever. I mean, they could have been pins based on the in-game ugly masks. Why was that ever even an option? And while these aren't exactly good, I mean, they are at least quality. They are hard enamel pins and not one of those gross plastic ones Illumix was selling for a while. But there are still so many questionable decisions made with these things. For one, why plushies? Why not get someone to make some cute art of the characters and just print that? Hell, even just use existing art of the characters themselves. Not fake merch. The art itself looks so bad, outlined with this weird gold color. It makes all the colors either blend together or just straight up get ruined. Black would have at least made them look a lot less cramped. But no, we needed to be special. Ooh, gold. Look, I know I said that they were all ugly, but I was just being hyperbolic. It's just Chica. Why did they make her look like this? Why does everyone want to give her a huge head? Other than that, Roxy looks a little weird, but Freddy and Monty look good. One thing I actually do like is how they still have their tush tags. Cute. But I'm just so confused as to why. Out of everything from Security Breach, this is what they decided to make pins out of? Okay. I wish these were better, but hey, it could always be worse. 4 out of 10. I mean, they are technically quality. Next is obviously the last of these little bonuses, but this one is even more disappointing to me.
It's a crappy Mr. Hippo fridge magnet? Lame.
Crappy is right, Gregory. This thing is so cheap. This was such a cool deep cut reference to the game, and it made me so happy when it was announced. But this isn't really a magnet. It's the same 2D art from the game on one of those super cheap magnet sheets. Ugh, are you kidding me? I mean, the way it's used in the games and the Bobby Dot story would make you think it was this super powerful, chunky industrial magnet. And while I know they aren't going to include something like that here, why couldn't it at least been a little thicker? Would you think that this thing can unlock a door or break a high-tech machine? No way! It can hardly hold a sticker sheet. This sucks. So I clearly hate this thing. Why is it better than the pins? Well, visually, this is amazing. If you aren't holding it and just looking at it on a fridge, well, I think it's pretty cool. The art is the same used as the key item in the game, so it looks straight out of it. And of course, having merch of Mr. Hippo in a Security Breach Collector's Edition is kinda hilarious. So while its execution sucks so hard, I still kinda like this thing a little bit. 5 out of 10, but that's just me being nice. Maybe one day I'll make my own custom magnet using something a little more powerful, but this works for now. And now that we're done with the leftover trash they threw into the package last second, let's move on to what is supposed to be the main event, the Steelbook. Okay, so I don't know if this is usually how Steelbooks look because this is my first one, but wow, this thing is beautiful. The whole thing is a sleek jet black and the front is indented to show the Security Breach logo in the middle, slightly raised to give it texture, and oh wow does it look good. Just displaying this on my bookshelf makes it feel worth it because of how premium it looks. And the back has this adorable render of Gregory holding Freddy's finger, and it is just amazing. And the blue misty star highlighting it makes it all come together. They made unique renders for this, but not the pins. Can you see why those feel last second to me? The spine is plastic, so it looks a bit off, but you aren't going to be displaying it like this anyway, so it's okay. Inside we find it. Oh, sorry, already reviewed those. The disc, which has a nice gradient with stars on it. It looks nice, but it's nothing special. Remove everything and we see yet another new render, this time of Sun hanging from something in the daycare, which looks just as adorable. And on the other side, we see Moon hiding behind the disc. Less cool, but still a fun secret. I love how the daycare scene carries over to both sides. It makes it feel more alive, if that makes sense. One last little secret is that there is another Security Breach logo hidden in this case. Do you see it? It's in the plastic, which is raised on the front to show it. The detail on this thing is crazy. I love this thing. It's such an amazing collector's item that makes me sad that the core collection never got one. But of course, there is one issue I have with it. Look, I get that the daycare attendant is one of the items included in the package, but in context of the game, they hardly do anything. Like, yes, Moon follows you the whole time pretty much, but Sun has one appearance in the entirety of the original Security Breach. And while I do think he's a good animatronic, having 2 of the 4 represented characters be one that hardly has a presence in the game is just disappointing. Like, why not put the main 3 animatronics in here? Or at least Vanny, you know, the other item included in the package? I mean, God, at least replace the Moon on the inside of the packaging with her. Like, damn, he's hogging all the cool renders. Is this a huge deal? No, of course not. This whole Steelbook is great, and I love so much that I own a game I can't even play. But this being kind of annoying for me means that the Security Breach Steelbook is getting an 8 out of 10. A great deal for this collector's edition, but as a representation of Security Breach itself, I mean, it's still good, but it just could be better. Speaking of the daycare attendant, let's move over to the real main show here, the Youtooz items. The first, obviously, being the daycare attendant, which is what the actual package calls it. But the Youtooz website just says Sun and Moon Plush, which is technically not wrong, but just frustrating because they have a name for when they are together. Why not use it? Whatever, my name nitpick aside, let's look at the actual plush. It is two-sided, meaning that on one side we have Sun and the other has Moon, which is a really smart gimmick for a daycare attendant plush. Even without it, these both look incredible on their own. And that's coming from someone who isn't a big fan of them in the game. But even I could admit that this is crazy good. Their faces look just like the game, if only more cushy. With big puffy cheeks, I just want to let my inner grandma come out and pinch them. These really pretty embroidered details on the face, and with huge goofy smiles that make one of them look friendly and cuddly, and the other one kind of unnerving. Their outfits look adorable, especially Moon's, as personally the blue and gray look a lot better than the red and yellow, yuck. But either way, it still looks wonderful. All their ruffles and ribbons and most importantly bells are all real, and it adds so much to the plush that would have just made them look cheap if it was some print on fabric. I'm so happy they went the extra mile to make these look even better. These bells are so fun, and my cat agrees. I always find this plush across the room when I come home. Although being real ribbons does mean it can come undone, like mine has here, but it isn't that hard to just tie it in place. And while it isn't as bad as the Glamrock plushies, they don't stay on the hand very well. One thing that Youtooz sucks at is fingers on plushies. No fingers on a plushie I own looks good. They just look so weird and nubby. I'd rather they just have one nub for a hand. But the little elf shoes they have look great, so thank God those weren't just nubs. One weird design choice that I completely understand is Moon's nightcap. I thought it was just like a beanie or something, but if you look down at this lowest moon ray, its long part is actually there, which, yes, is a super unique workaround for not only the nightcap, but the sun rays, which obviously had to be here for Sun to not be bald. But it looks kind of weird. There isn't much more I can say. I'm glad Youtooz made a separate Sun and Moon plushie, but with how they look, yeah, this is not only so much cooler, but just better in general. And I really hope we get more experimental plushies like this in the future. I'll be giving the daycare attendant reversible plushie a 9 out of 10. It just barely missed that 10 because of a few unavoidable but weird decisions and the horrible print on fabric on the chest. But as a $150 plush for a character I don't really like, yeah, this is pretty fucking amazing. Yeah, the worth of this collector's edition is shooting up at the last second, and it definitely isn't stopping now. That plush may have rocked, but nothing will beat a figure of one of my favorite characters in a style I've really come to love, who I already have the rest of the entire set for. Youtooz Vanny is obviously the highlight of this package. For some reason, even though she isn't even in the set anymore, Vanny is number 5 in the FNaF series, which is so annoying. I have to assume her being in this collector's edition was a very last second decision, but even then, being number 5 is still weird. In between Freddy and the other Glamrocks, I guess makes sense in terms of the game, but even if it technically makes sense, it doesn't make this any less strange. Okay, that was my only real complaint. Let's get moving to the box. The back shows this scene of Vanny skipping down the hallway from the trailer, which is a great piece of imagery that, once again, didn't make it into the final game for some reason. I'm not the biggest fan of the characters appearing on the back, as I like it more when they get creative with the lack of the character, or maybe just a part of them. But this isn't bad or anything, although the red light kind of makes her eyes hard to see. Ignoring the obvious that these lines aren't in the final game at all, I'm so happy that this is what they chose.
When I first found you, you were nothing. You were small, pathetic. But now, you are more. Are you ready?
Even though this technically never happens, in my opinion, this speech was the best choice for Vanny, as the final game never gets this cool with her. Which, sure, maybe that should be a negative, but I just love this quote so much that I'm willing to ignore all of that and just say that this is wonderful. I mean, what else would they have said? Are you having fun yet 3 different times? Oh, Steel Wool, you were literally handed a perfect character on a silver platter. Why didn't you use her? Even though we have no idea who said this, I mean, I guess the Mimic, but that seems out of character for it. I still love this speech, and it being here makes me both happy and sad. So for having some decent art and an unfortunate but fitting quote, Vanny's box gets a 7 out of 10. Yes, definitely too high, but this is one of my favorite FNaF lines ever, and just seeing it mentioned makes me smile. Out of the box, whoa, this looks weird for a FNaF Youtooz. For starters, as Vanny isn't an animatronic, she doesn't have the dark pits around her eyes. She also has a super unique body shape. With almost all FNaF figures looking almost identical in the body department, this is such a nice change of pace. As her suit was handmade, she is covered in patches of different fabric, white, gray, and a red picnic cloth. I've always loved this detail. It's like she just ran out of white and looked looked around and was like, yeah, that works. It makes it all just so charming. We aren't even done with these small charming details. Her back has these bigger stitches to show how she even got into the costume, and I'm a huge fan of stuff like that. It would have been so easy for Steel Wool to just make it smooth back there, but they went that extra step. While we're back here, Vanny does have a tail, which is inaccurate, but I don't blame Youtooz, as if you were unaware, this figure was developed before Security Breach even released. And if you look at certain trailers, you can see that she did have a tail once. So I won't knock the points for this like I did with Funko's Bonnie. Okay, also it is super cute and should just be in the final design, guys. Okay, let's get the last few body details out of the way. Her big blue bow is beautiful, and they captured it really well. She has her adorable paw pads on her hands, and this mid-skipping pose is not only in character and super adorable, but not what I would consider man-standing. So that's one more point for the uniquely posed. I'd complain more, but I'm just so happy she isn't standing still. They did a good job. Here's hoping they don't make a variant of her that's in a way worse pose, not even from the game. She does have the same unremovable stand on her feet that Chica and Roxy had, which is a problem, but I'm not really gonna knock points against her for that, as it's not exactly a unique problem with her. And of course, with a pose like this, you do need a stand, so it's not like I'm gonna take it off her very often, but the choice would be nice. Let's go to the main performance. Vanny's head is a little big, but it genuinely looks perfect, just like the rest of her. All the details are wonderful and accurate while still looking great in the style. Her whiskers aren't as crazy as I'd like them to be, but they still look good. Her eyes even have long lashes, but in the red color her eyes are in. I think that's kind of cute. The head shape, the beautifully huge sharp rabbit ears, tiny ass triangle ass eyebrows, the buck teeth, it all just looks fantastic. Even though it looks a tad strange, her weird ass mouth was captured as well as I think it could have been. And it's grown on me a lot. It fits the rest of her stylized head, and I'd say I'm a fan, even if I wasn't when I first got it. I love how non-uniform she is, here and in the game itself. I love how the stitches are seemingly random and the ears are uneven. It makes her feel so animated even though she's just a toy. And that, with everything else I mentioned, makes her special to me, and the obvious highlight of this collector's edition. I don't know what else to say. This figure is perfect in my opinion. And even though the items on my desk rotate every now and then when I get the new Youtooz releases, Vanny has been there since day one, and I won't be replacing her anytime soon. Vanny gets my first ever 10 out of 10 for a figure on this show. Sure, she isn't literally perfect, but nothing is 100% flawless. I think Vanny here is the closest that Youtooz will ever get. Don't get me wrong, they have made some amazing products after this one, so don't think this series is suddenly gonna be all negative now that we've reached peak. Let's just say this isn't even the last 10 out of 10 I'll be giving out. And even after that one, that won't even be the last. So put your guesses on my picks below. And there you have it, the final Security Breach Collector's Edition ranking. This isn't the best package ever. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but that isn't exactly a compliment. I mean, it's telling the best part of this Collector's Edition are both something that should have been available separately. Now, I hate to do this, but let's do some math. The daycare attendant plushie and Vanny Youtooz would have retailed for $30 each, and the game is $40, but with the steelbook, I'm willing to give it a $50. So add that up and you get $110. So what's the last 40 bucks? The pins? I guess I could see 20 for those. Does that mean I'm paying 20 extra dollars for a shitty magnet and stickers I could make myself for $1? I mean, if you think it's worth it or not, this is a bit ridiculous. Especially when I only really want 3 parts of this thing. I don't know, looking at those 3 things, yes, they are great, and in a way, I do think that it is worth it for these items being some of the best FNaF merch ever made. But it's just that, when the rest of the package is so sad in comparison, it makes it all feel a lot less, in my opinion. If I had to put a ranking on it, 6 out of 10. This really was hard for me to rank. I know I keep saying that, but it's so confusing to me that on one side is some of the best collectibles you could ever want for Security Breach, and on the other is some of the worst and most useless garbage they ever could have put in this to justify the ridiculous price. Gosh, if we were just ranking the good stuff, this would easily be an 8.5 or even a 9. But I just can't say that this collector's edition is a good representation of Security Breach. Sun and Moon, yes, definitely, but the whole game? Not at all. Thank you for watching. I know it was a rough ride, but let's not forget that we got 2 more items in S tier today, and that's not something I just want to ignore. This may not be the best sign for Maximum Games, but I think this is an amazing sign for Youtooz. But hey, are you not autistic and actually love this collection? Let me know in the comments below and send me your updated tier list through my Discord server, both being in the description. Catch you next time where I cover multiple themed series for the holidays. That video is gonna kill me, isn't it? See you on the flip side. She just likes being up this high with the lights. It must feel nice.